Symbolism of the BTS ARIRANG album logo. The logo of BTS's 5th full-length album ARIRANG can be understood not merely as a visual decoration, but as a symbolic system designed upon a philosophical structure. According to the released explanation, the center of the logo contains a circular form called the target circle, combined with the imagery of the Geon trigram and the Ri trigram. The 8 trigrams and their meanings. Geon heaven, Taegeuk, Ri fire, Chin thunder, Sun wind, Kam water, Kan mountain, Kun earth. The circle first symbolizes circulation without beginning or end, and convergence toward a center. It represents a structure in which scattered emotions and meanings gather into one and then expand again. This naturally connects to the repetitive and resonant nature of the title ARIRANG itself. The Geon trigram symbolizes heaven and represents pure yang energy, the force of beginning and creation. It can be understood as the starting point of personal will and self-narrative. By contrast, the Ri trigram symbolizes fire and light, representing manifestation, expression, and the formation of relationships. Emotions that once remained within are revealed outwardly and connected to others through the operation of Vi. Thus, the structure combining the circle with Geon and Ri illustrates a flow in which personal emotion begins Geon, becomes expressed outwardly Ri, and converges once again into resonance the circle. Up to this point, this is the symbolic structure that can generally be explained regarding the album logo. From here, however, the logo may also be expanded through the perspective of the Taegeuk and Yin-Yang philosophy. In particular, when recalling that the Geon and Ri trigrams are also used in the Korean national flag, their combination can be interpreted not as a simple juxtaposition, but as a unified structure. The structure of the Taegeuk. At the center of the Korean flag lies the Taegeuk symbol, surrounded by 4 of the 8 trigrams. While many people recognize the outward appearance of the Taegeuk, they often do not read its entire structure as a cosmological statement. In reality, the Taegeuk is a condensed philosophical diagram. The Taegeuk at the center represents the movement of yin and yang, while the surrounding trigrams symbolize heaven and earth, water and fire, and the principles of transformation, much like the 4 classical elements in Western thought. Thus, the Taegeuk is not merely a marker of national identity, but a symbolic statement uniting the cosmos, humanity, order, and motion. The Taegeuk itself is one of the most compressed symbols representing Korea. Most people first think of the red and blue circular form revolving together. It is deeply familiar as a national emblem. Yet, familiarity does not necessarily mean understanding. Sometimes the symbols closest to us are the ones we examine least deeply. The philosophy of Taegeuk. The Taegeuk is not merely a pattern. It is a perspective for viewing the universe and a framework for understanding the world. More profoundly, it is a mode of thought that reads humanity and nature, change and balance, opposition and harmony as parts of one continuous movement. The most striking feature of Taegeuk is its circular form. It is not square nor composed of broken lines, but of flowing curves. This is not accidental. The circle symbolizes a form in which beginning and end are not separated. No point is the absolute starting point, nor any point the final destination. The red and blue sections inside the Taegeuk do not confront each other through rigid division. Instead, they flow into one another through curves. This structure reveals that yin and yang are not completely isolated substances, but relational principles that exist through each other. Yang is not absolute light excluding yin, and yin is not absolute darkness negating yang. Within yang exists the seed of yin, and within yin, the possibility of yang. The interlocking curves visually express this principle of mutual generation. In this sense, the Taegeuk embodies a worldview different from strict Western dualism. Rather than understanding opposition as destruction, it interprets opposing forces as conditions for mutual creation. Therefore, the Taegeuk is not a symbol saying, choose one over the other. Rather, it expresses the insight that each already exists within the other. 천화동인 heaven fire. From the perspective of the I Ching, when the upper trigram is gone and the lower trigram is li, the hexagram known as Cheonhwa Dongin heaven fire is formed, the 13th hexagram of the I Ching. Kon symbolizes heaven, while li symbolizes fire. Together they form the image of fire beneath heaven. The symbolism is clear, a bright flame spreading openly beneath the sky. The hexagram is traditionally interpreted as when people who share the same purpose come together, harmony and great accomplishment become possible. Fire represents revelation and visibility, while heaven symbolizes universal order. Thus, this is not a light confined to a single place, but one that spreads broadly beneath the heavens. Dongin does not simply mean gathering together physically. It signifies people connected through shared resonance and empathy, a process in which individual emotion expands into collective harmony. The essence of this hexagram lies in togetherness, but not merely physical union. It is the process by which inner emotion and will become outwardly expressed and form resonance with others. 화천대유 fire heaven. Conversely, when the upper trigram is still and the lower trigram is gone, another important hexagram appears, 화천대유 fire heaven. This hexagram symbolizes fire above heaven, like the sun shining brightly in the sky. It represents not merely light itself, but light that has fully manifested and illuminates the world from the highest place. In the I Ching, this state is called the great possession or great abundance. Here, possession does not simply mean ownership. It signifies a state in which inner power has fully matured, manifested outwardly, and spread widely. If 천화동인 heaven fire represents the process of moving toward togetherness, then 화천대유 fire heaven represents the completed state in which that resonance fully shines forth. Together, these two hexagrams form a continuous flow. 천화동인 heaven fire, individual emotion, connects with others and creates resonance. 화천대유 fire heaven, that resonance expands fully and illuminates the world. This structure is deeply connected with the movement of the Taegeuk itself. When connected to the title 아리랑, the meaning becomes even clearer. 아리랑 begins as personal emotion, but the moment it becomes song, it expands into the shared emotion of a community. Through repetition and resonance, that emotion transcends time and space. This process corresponds to the structure of 천화동인 heaven fire, and when that resonance continues across generations and spreads widely, it reaches the state of 화천대유 fire heaven. Thus, the ARIRANG logo contains a complete symbolic flow. Emotion arising within the individual, becoming outward expression, expanding through empathy with others, and ultimately illuminating the world as one shared light. This is the movement of Taegeuk, the order of Yin and Yang, and the flow from Cheonhwa Dongin heaven fire to 화천대유 fire heaven within the philosophy of the I Ching. Therefore, the ARIRANG album logo can be understood as a symbolic structure connecting the individual, the community, and the world into a single flow, a compressed representation of how human emotion is generated, expanded, and ultimately fulfilled.